haven't been working on these first 3 games?
Yeah, you don't want to live in fourth down. I think I got to execute better. We got to execute better on first, second, third down. Stay out of those positions. Once we get fourth down, got to get it.
That's been a couple weeks.
You didn't get into a rhythm today?
Yeah,
For any reason?
I got to play better. It's not good enough. As y'all can see, I got to play better for us to. Maybe it slides against UTEP, but it's not going to win us games against SEC. I got to play better.
You haven't been working on these first 3 games?
Yeah, you don't want to live in fourth down. I think I got to execute better. We got to execute better on first, second, third down. Stay out of those positions. Once we get fourth down, got to get it.
That's been a couple weeks.
You didn't get into a rhythm today?
Yeah,
For any reason?
I got to play better. It's not good enough. As y'all can see, I got to play better for us to. Maybe it slides against UTEP, but it's not going to win us games against SEC. I got to play better.
You haven't been working on these first 3 games?
Yeah, you don't want to live in fourth down. I think I got to execute better. We got to execute better on first, second, third down. Stay out of those positions. Once we get fourth down, got to get it.
That's been a couple
You
weeks.
didn't get into a rhythm today?
Yeah,
For any reason?
I got to play better. It's not good enough. As y'all can see, I got to play better for us to. Maybe it slides against UTEP, but it's not going to win us games against SEC. I got to play better.
All right, Coach, I'll open it up, and we'll go to some questions.
Alrighty. It's always good to win. I'll start with that, right? It could be worse. We could lose. I think a couple things. One, our defense was fantastic again. They continue to play a style and a brand of football defensively that is definitely winning football. Again, they negated really the explosive plays maybe there until the end, eliminated the run, created turnovers. Jelani had a great game. Anthony Hill, Hero Canoe. A lot of guys played really well on that side of the ball. Offensively, losing CJ the first play of the game kind of forced some other guys into action quicker, which the end result was probably a positive for us, that we got to see more of Christian, more of Jarek, and then obviously more of James Simon of what they could do. And I thought our ability to run the football was good tonight. Obviously we just couldn't find the rhythm in the passing game the way we would have liked. It's coming off of last week where we were creating the explosive plays in the passing game. Tonight we couldn't create those explosive plays, or today we couldn't create those explosive plays. And how it played out was we were putting ourselves into makeable third downs and makeable fourth downs, and we didn't convert them. I think we were 0 for our first 5 on third down and 0 for our first 3 on fourth down, which kind of took the wind out of our sails a little bit. It felt like almost out of the stadium. And so we've got to do our part. I thought our fans were great today. They came ready to go. And I thought our team was excited to play. We didn't do our great job offensively of keeping that energy in the stadium and taking advantage of some opportunities, which we're going to need to do. But as I've said before, we're not a finished product. We'll continue to work at it. We'll continue to get better. And we've got another opportunity next week to do that at home, so we're looking forward to that.
Raise your hand if you got a question. I'll get a mic to you. Start right up front with Eric.
Steve, earlier in the week, you talked about guys pressing a little bit and not kind of playing within themselves. I know it's in the immediate aftermath of the game, so it's maybe hard to answer, but just curious from the offensive perspective, did you feel like guys were pressing, or is there anything that you could have done differently to prepare the team better?
Yeah, I felt like in the run game, first of all, start there, I felt like we had a really good plan, and I thought we blocked them really well, and I thought some of the runners, it's the first time for a lot of those guys really playing like that. It wasn't, you don't plan on losing CJ the first play of the game. And so some of the runs, I think there was probably some more yards there to be had, and I don't think it's about guys pressing. I think it's just finding a rhythm of running different types of runs and where they're supposed to hit and things of that nature, and when it's okay to run around a guy and when it's time to run over a guy and things of that nature. And so that stuff will come. In the passing game, felt like we had some missed opportunities, quite frankly, early in the game that I think really could have changed the complexion of the game. And then I think maybe at that point we started to press after that. And so then you have to shift gears as a coach, as a play caller, as a staff, and try to lean into the area of the game where you're having some success, and clearly the run game was that, and try to utilize Arch's legs a little bit more to get him going. But we'll get back to the drawing board from a schematic standpoint, but I'm not so concerned about the schematics. I want to make sure our guys are playing to the play and understanding how plays are supposed to hit and where they're supposed to hit, whether it's the run game or the pass game, and that's our job as coaches. And that's why they call us coach. And so we'll get back to it here tonight and tomorrow morning and put together another good plan for the guys to go out and execute at a high level next week.
Hey, Steve, how would you evaluate kind of the state of the connection between Arch and Ryan Wingo right now?
I don't know if it's about a connection with one player in particular. I feel like our passing game in week 1 was average. I thought last week was explosive, and today was I don't even know if it was average, And so I don't think it's about one player in particular. I just think it's about rhythm in the passing game overall in general. And I love the touchdown at the end in the fourth quarter because it was great timing, great route, great throw. And around here, that's the expectation of the passing game, that's how we operate. And they understand that. But we've got to be able to play at that level consistently. And we're just not there right now. And it's our job to try to get them to that point.
On your far right, Chip.
Steve, I think at one point Arch had 10 straight incompletions. Was there anything you were noticing during that stretch? And how do you talk to him and get him going so that he gets into a rhythm and is making the progress you want?
Yeah, you're always evaluating. You're always kind of feeling the flow of the game as a coach, as a play caller, as an offensive staff. And then you try to get back to some things that he really likes that we've talked about all week long, and that we talked about Friday, that hey, I really like this. And then when that's not really hitting the way we want, then I've always kind of in my back pocket have this idea of I need to let him run. And I need to let him run around. I need to let him start playing football. But I felt like he pressed some tonight. He knew he was missing some throws that I think he's comfortable making. And then, you start, skipping reads and scrambling and relying on his legs too much. And that's always my caution is that when you have a little success with your legs, then you start to rely on your legs, and then we're out of scheme, and now we're just playing athlete football. And athlete football can get you so far, but sooner or later that catches up with you too. And so we've got to get back to believing in the scheme and believing in the guys around us, and whether they're blocking for us or catching for us or whatever that is, to give us the best chance to be successful long term. This reminds me a lot of the Wyoming game here a couple years ago, where the passing game kind of struggled. We kind of leaned into the run game with Jonathan Brooks that night, and I think we hit kind of a quick screen to Xavier for a touchdown, and we really didn't do much that night in the passing game, and there was a real level of frustration, but we righted the ship that season as well. And we'll right the ship now. We've got really good coaches. We've got really good players. And we're going to need all of our team to have the type of season that we want to have. And we've got facets of it that are performing really good. Defensively, I love the fact that we got the return game going in special teams. And we were running the ball a little better. I think there's more yards out there to get more yards in the run game. But we got to find a level of consistency on offense with all 11 players down after down. That's the standard around here, and we're just not performing to the standard as we're accustomed to.
Middle, Thomas.
Sark, you're a former quarterback. Were you seeing anything mechanically off with Arch, whether it's footwork, arm angle, anything like that?
No, I think the one thing that can happen when you compress a little bit is you kind of speed up the delivery, but then slow down the delivery. And I know that's kind of a bit of an oxymoron, but if you think about when you try to speed your arm up and then decelerate your arm. For some of us here that are bad golfers, think about your golf swing. You try to swing hard, and then you try to slow it down at the very end to make good contact. That's never a recipe for success, and that's not a good recipe for throwing a football either. And I felt like that happened at times today. But I'll have to evaluate the tape a little bit more to see if there's anything else fundamentally that I didn't like. But that one thing I think showed up a little bit, where he can speed himself up and then try to slow himself down. And he plays better when he's in more rhythm and rhythmic that way. And there were some beautiful rhythm throws, the deep curl route to Parker early in the game, the middle route to Ryan Wingo late. As I said, the out route for the touchdown to Ryan, those were nice rhythm throws. And I think that's when he's at his best, and that's our job to find that rhythm in him.
On your right, Kurt.
I think some of us are stunned that Arch hadn't been better, and the expectations were crazy out of whack. We all acknowledge that. I was wondering if you were that surprised that he hadn't had more success, and do you even consider just keeping him out a series or two like you did with Quinn last year?
No, I mean, I feel like we've done enough to where I'm going backwards on your question, just so you know. I feel like we've done enough with him to have a pretty good understanding of who he is as a player and what he's capable of. And I know there's a lot of football in there that's high-level quality football. And so is my expectation of him as a player high? Yes. Do I expect him to play the best football of his career the first 3 games of this season? Probably not. That probably wouldn't be fair. But our job as coaches is to work him towards that, and so that he continually improves throughout the season, like all of our players on our team. I think it was too early to say, oh, give him a series. He provides enough offense for us where I can go a different way, using his legs and provide offense that way. And obviously, he scored 2 touchdowns with his legs today to take advantage of it, and had a nice 2-minute drive right there at the end of the first half to score. So there was a lot of good in there. I just know, and I think we all would agree, that there's better in there, right? That's to come. And again, it's a race to get there as fast as we can.
Steve, how much of it is mental with Arch, and also those early struggles? How did that impact your play calling in the second half?
Yeah, I would probably say, for the most part, it's all mental, quite frankly, right? When you really think about the physical ability to make throws. And now it's trust, belief, confidence, all those things, right, that play into it. And his ability to move on to the next play, I think, is something that we've got to continue to work on, and not harbor the last plays and the last plays and the last plays, and have the ability to refocus, recalibrate, and focus on the next play. And so those are all things that, like I said, until you get put into these fires that you have to learn from some of these things, it's a lot easier, when you're on the outside looking in, to say, just do this, just do that. Now he's in the fire. Now we got to make these adjustments in real time. And like I said, that's kind of the fun part of it all, that we have something really to work on. We know what it is. It's tangible, and we can get it done. We've been down this road before, and we've like I said, we've righted the ship before. So we'll get there.
Coach, housekeeping, any update you can give on C.J. Baxter? I'll take it. And secondly would be, what do you have a sense of urgency, since you only have one more game before conference play begins? Is there a sense of urgency that you really want to get this offense righted before you start conference play?
Yeah, I didn't answer the last part of your question. I'm going to come back to that, Cedric, right here, and then I'll get to you, Anwar. As far as the play calling goes, you're always adapting in real time, and I felt like we had to change and adapt to some of the things we were doing. Obviously, we had a plan for CJ in this game, and so that we had to adapt quickly when he went out. And then when the passing game wasn't as fluid as we would have liked, we adapted to the run game and to some of the more quarterback run stuff. And so that wasn't the initial plan today. We adapted, we evolved, and to put ourselves in the best position to win the game, which I think we did. I think a lot of times people think, oh, well, we didn't score all these points. Well, the premise of all this is to win the game and to do what we need to do to win the game, which I felt like we did that today. As far as the update on CJ, he hit a hamstring. I don't know the exact severity of it. I know it was enough to say, let's shut him down. And so, when you don't have both of your starting runners who have the experience as players, you adjust some there too, because it's not just about running the ball. There's some other aspects of their game, from a pass protection standpoint and things that you have to tap into. So we'll see what that looks like over the next couple weeks of getting those guys back. From an offensive perspective, I want us to get here like tomorrow. When you talk about an urgency, yeah. I want us to play our best football like Monday at practice and take off from there. We'll see how realistic that looks. I don't think we're very far off. I feel like guys are trying hard, they're working at their craft. We all know that, hey, we need to be the best version of ourselves offense to try to achieve some of the things we want to achieve this year. Granted, we've got a great defense. Granted, we're playing good on special teams if we can just eliminate some of these penalties. But again, it's all 11 doing it together, and it's easy to put it on just one guy that way. I won't do that because I feel like we all can play better, we all can coach better, and that's the responsibility that we have to try to make that happen.
Yeah, Coach, going back to quick starts, feels like there's been an absence of that maybe over the first 3 weeks. Three times where you've had the ball to start games, 3 times where you've failed to put points on the board.
Thanks for the reminder, CJ.
I'm sorry. But what attributes to that? Is it just maybe different looks that defenses toss out there, or is that just an execution that isn't up to par?
Yeah, I don't think it's really different looks. I mean, granted, we go into every game with an expectation that we're probably not going to get exactly what's on tape, right? And we evolved to that a few years ago when it was like, okay, these guys have been game planning for us all off season. Like, we're going to get something different than what, whoever they played the last few weeks have been, or last year, whatever that is. Especially early in the season, you're going to get different stuff. So I do think we've put plans together where we feel like we're confident and the players are confident in what we're doing. I think we've got a formula for success to have to start well early in games, and it's a formula that has withstood the test of time for a long time. This isn't something new that we're trying to do. We're not experimenting with a new formula for our preparation for the game. I think the players understand what we're trying to do, but I think sometimes it's about, hey, sometimes it's not the best call, and sometimes it's not the best execution. And when you have more of that than just right call, right execution, sometimes you don't have the success you're looking for. So again, we're always striving to put our guys in the best position to have some success, especially early, because that's what builds belief and confidence. And like I said, today, I felt like we were in some really manageable opportunities to not only extend drives, but to score points. Obviously, I was very aggressive with some of the fourth down calling early in the game, and that's not abnormal for us either. I don't think anything we did today early was abnormal. We didn't convert those. And so, back to the drawing board to figure out, are we putting our guys in the best position to have success? And if we are, how do we get them to execute at a high level?
Hello everybody, thank you for watching. Be sure to click that like button, subscribe to the channel. You were just listening to Arch Manning and Longhorns head coach Steve Sarkisian at the podium for the post-game press conference following another home win for Texas here, their second in a row. Not as dominant of a performance as they would have liked today. 27-10 the final over the UTEP Miners, and a very, very poor performance from Arch Manning through the air passing. He was only 11 of 25 through the air. 11 of 25, 114 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Arch, as always, really good with his legs. 51 rush yards with 2 rushing touchdowns for Arch, and he made his bacon today with his legs. The Texas offense, they made their money running the football today. They just ran it right into the ground and right down the Miners' throats. 56 rush attempts for Texas today. 56 carries, 226 yards, and the 2 rushing scores from Arch. The defense performed well. They got a couple of interceptions. One of them from Jelani McDonald, the other from Grayson Littleton. And the Texas front, that grown man defensive line, came up with 2 sacks and a total of 6 tackles for loss. So a win for Texas here, 27-10. They're now 2-1 on the season, and they have one more easy game here before they get into SEC play, and that easy game is next Saturday night, 8 p.m., another home game against Sam Houston State. Thank you for watching Arch and Sark talk at the podium. We will see all of you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, for the Steelers and the Seahawks live right here on YouTube.